Welcome to the Academic Writing Amplified podcast. On this podcast, we believe that the culture of academia needs to change radically. Women and non-binary people are revolutionizing academia within institutions that were not built for us. If you're ready to reject the culture of overwork, kick guilt and overwhelm to the curb, and amplify your voice to make a real impact on your field without breaking down or burning out, you're in the right place. With our team of experienced writing coaches as co-hosts, we'll share insights and talk to inspiring guests to bring you the practical strategies, systems, and mindset shifts you need to find time to write, publish work you love, and design your career on your terms. And it all starts with writing. Let's go. Welcome to the podcast today. I'm so excited to get to talk about how long does it take to change your writing practice? My name is Kathy Mazak. If you're new to the podcast, welcome, welcome. I am the founder and creator of the company Scholar's Voice, and we offer a signature program to help you write and publish more called Navigate. If you're interested in that program, which I am going to be talking about a bit as we talk today about how long it takes to change your writing practice. If you're interested in enrolling in our program, we have a waitlist going on, and you can go to scholarsvoice.org/navigate, find the pink button, and get on the waitlist. That way, you'll be the first to know when the program opens for enrollment again. All right, let's get started. So something like kind of just to start out this idea of how long it takes to make change in your writing practice, I want you to kind of look at this topic from the perspective of you have been a writer since you first picked up a pen or pencil or crayon and started doodling, right? So your writerly life and your experience as a writer, and in particular, your experience as an academic writer, has been in development for years and years. Almost however old you are, you have been developing yourself as a writer. And your writing practice, of course, has changed over the years. When you were a little kid, writing was so much about creativity and storytelling. And, as you got older and older, writing formed different or took a different place in your life in terms of its functionality. So writing became practical, right? Like I make a to-do list of things, and writing became a way to be tested in school, right? And then as you become an academic, writing becomes this way of displaying your knowledge, of showing that you belong, of a lot of things, of gaining influence and notoriety, right? Writing has a really important place in our scholarly lives and a changing place. So keeping that in mind, right, that your writing practice has been in development for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, thinking about making a big change to your writing practice in a short amount of time is probably not very realistic, right? Actually, whenever we change a practice, right, something that we do over and over again, it takes time to make change. So the answer or my answer to the question, how long does it take to change your writing practice? Let me say for academics, right? I believe it takes at least 12 to 18 months of intentional action to change your writing practice. Now, what do I mean by intentional action, right? So as a writer, or you've approached your writing in different ways throughout your academic career. The way that you have approached your writing, or that you approached your writing when you were in graduate school, is likely and probably should be different than the way you're approaching your writing now as a tenured professor or a tenure-track professor. And much of that has to do with intentionality. So intentional change, intentional practice, intentional action. A lot of times our writing practice is actually kind of made up of our best guess, our gut instinct, our reaction to assignments that we've gotten or something that we have to do or a deadline, right? So in graduate school, our writing practice is a reaction at first to when we are assigned research projects, essays, that kind of thing, to turn in for our coursework. So our writing practice is a reaction to the deadlines the professor sends and the kinds of things the professor asks you to write. As you go through your PhD program, though, or your doctoral program, you're one of the reasons it takes people such a long time to write their dissertations or that they feel kind of at sea is because for the first time during dissertation writing, you're kind of making it up as you go with a lot less constraints or a lot fewer constraints. So yes, you might have had an advisor that had very strict due dates for things and that kind of thing, but many people are the leaders on their dissertation. And so you are kind of making up your writing practice as you go, right? And you are figuring out how to get the writing done. And maybe you're not that experienced, right? Like maybe you haven't studied writing. Maybe you haven't thought about your writing as a practice. It really is more like, I need to get this dissertation written no matter what. So I'm just going to do whatever it takes to get it done. Now in your career, many of you are finding that you need to get writing done again, but you have a lot of other things also happening in your life and in your career. So, of course, as a PhD student, you might have also been supporting your family, working a job, like lots of things. And the complexity of your career is definitely more once you get the tenure track job. So we at least have teaching research and service. We're often teaching new preps multiple times in the early career. There's so much going on. You're navigating department politics and all kinds of things. You're trying to get your research program off the ground. Maybe you started a lab. Maybe you're part of an institute, like so many balls in the air. And you are trying to also write and publish your own work. And it is hard. It is hard. So in comes professional development programs such as our program, Navigate. It's a 12-week program, is probably the most well-known program in academia, is from NCFDD. It's their, I don't know what they're calling it right now. They used to call it like the boot camp, but it's also a 12-week program that is meant to help you figure out your way in academia and get your writing done. So 12 weeks. My program is 12 weeks and CFDD is 12 weeks. Is 12 weeks enough to change your writing practice? It is not. So why is my program 12 weeks if it is not enough? So the reason I don't want to talk about my program. I want to talk about how long I think practice change takes. And then I'll say why I structured our program to be 12 weeks with re-enrolling in multiple rounds. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do to kind of I can't speak to NCFDD. NCFDD is a 12-week program. And I don't know if you can, you probably could do it multiple times. I don't think their intention is for you to do it multiple times. My intention is to create a program that actually alters your writing and publishing practice forever. And thus changes your career for the better forever. Again, it won't happen in 12 weeks. I think it takes 12 to 18 months. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. So, people have expectation. I'm going to enroll in this professional development program. It's 12 weeks long, and then all my problems will be fixed. Okay, so I'm here to tell you that that's not true. One of the things that happens during both NCFDD and our program is that you're in the program for 12 weeks. And while you're in it, you can do the writing. Okay. So you can get your writing done because you are in the program. But once the program ends, things fall apart. And that is because knowing what to do and being able to maintain it for a short period of time, 12 weeks, is different from building a practice. All right. So Navigate is meant to help you create a writing and publishing practice that is sustainable. I call the system of writing that I teach, which I have named the soaring system. I say that it is designed to be a sustainable relationship-based writing practice. And what that means is that as you are learning how to do the soaring system, you are changing your relationship to your writing, and you are centering and privileging a positive relationship with your writing over other things. These are not things that just happen in 12 weeks. It takes longer than that, for sure. And so I can say that to you. I can say, hey, you just center your writing, make it more important than it is right now, or treat it like it's as important as you know it is. And you can intellectually know what that means, and you still can't do it. And the reason for that is that knowing something intellectually versus creating a practice or a habit or a behavior is two different things. And that is why when you join, like for my program, when you're in the enrollment process, we ask you to take a benchmark assessment. And the benchmark assessment is basically all of the things that we teach about your skills and beliefs around writing and publishing. All the things that we teach in those 12 weeks is basically like the outcomes of the program. And what you do is, as you take that benchmark assessment, you're self-assessing against those program outcomes. So we want to know on your way in where you stand. And then after each 12-week round, we want to be able to assess, right, like how you're improving. And the way that we talk about how you improve in these different program outcomes is by talking about levels of awareness. And this is a concept that I learned from Kemi Dahl, from KD Coaching. Like, you can go check her out, listen to her podcast. She coaches women of color in academic medicine, and she is amazing, amazing colleague and friend. And she uses this in her benchmark assessment, and she was kind enough to suggest it to me, for me as well. For each of these statements in the benchmark, you assess yourself based on your level of awareness, from unaware, learning, integration, mastery. So what does this mean? One of the things that you'll need to build a successful, sustainable, nourishing writing practice is you're going to have to be able to hold your writing like an appointment so that you don't just schedule other things over it. So let's imagine that on the benchmark, one of the phrases or one of the sentences is, I honor my writing time. Then you have to decide whether you are aware that you need to do that. Well, unaware is the lowest level. Okay, so you're unaware. You didn't know you needed to do that to be successful. You are aware. Yes, I'm aware I need to do that, but I haven't done it, right? I am learning to do it. That means you're in the process of developing your skill around that. You're integrating, which means you are not just learning the how-tos of it, but you're doing it. Like, it's integrated into your practice. And then the final level, mastery, is that you have like completely made that your own, and you have your own approach to it, and you have been able to do it very consistently. Okay. So for each of the kind of things that we know, right, all the skills and beliefs that our curriculum teaches and that we know will be essential to changing your writing practice, for each of those things, there's about 20 or so, we ask for you to self-rate: unaware, aware, learning, integration, mastery. And as you can imagine, this does not take just 12 weeks. What we hope is that by listening to this podcast, before you even try to enter a program to develop your writing and publishing, or to change it for the better so that you have a flowing pipeline and that you have a regular writing practice, before you try to join our Navigate program, what we hope is that you've listened to this podcast. So hi, thanks for listening. Please share this podcast with your friends. Because if you've listened to this podcast, then you probably are aware of most of the things on our benchmark assessment. You're aware, because I talk about them, that you need to have a pipeline mapped out and that it needs to be yours, like specific to you and your field and how you work. You need to have an academic mission statement, those kinds of things, right? I talk about them on the podcast all the time. So most people who apply for Navigate are not unaware of the things on the benchmark assessment. They're actually aware or learning. That's the level that people normally come in with. And then they take the 12 weeks of Navigate. And I hope that at the end of the 12 weeks, everybody is assessing themselves as learning. Some of the things on the benchmark you might be integrating, right? So you might have been, done the work during, you should have, but also it depends, some people struggle with the academic mission statement, but let me just take it as an example. So some people might leave the 12 weeks of the program saying I'm integrating the academic mission statement into my everyday practices. I am good to go with writing and using the academic mission statement. Other people, for lots of reasons, and none of them are that the person is not intelligent or anything like that, but just because of different career circumstances, some people struggle a bit more with the mission statement. And so they'll say on exit of the 12 weeks, they're still learning. Very few people will go from I'm aware of this thing and now I've mastered it in 12 weeks. Nobody's done that yet in a year. That's because the program's not designed for that. The program is designed to present you with everything that you need in order to have a flowing publication pipeline and a well-established, relationship-based, sustainable writing practice. And some people will take that information and they'll be like, great, I'm learning it and I'm off to the races. I don't need any more help. I'll do the rest by myself. It's still going to take them 12 to 18 months to really integrate and master everything from the program. But they're going to decide to do it on their own, which is totally fine. For other people, about half of our clients will re-enroll in the next 12 weeks of Navigate and get an up-leveled coaching experience, as well as the continued support of our community and our coaches. So right now, the way it works is that you take your first 12 week of Navigate, that's round one, and then you retake the benchmark assessment. You have a one-on-one call with me. I'm the one running those calls right now. And we talk about okay, what has improved? Where is there still room for work? If you were to take the next, do you want to take another 12-week round? If you did, what would you want to work on? And then you can re-enroll. And the initial cost of enrolling, which right now is $4,500 for the first 12-week session, the subsequent rounds are much less expensive. Our pilot pricing was $900 for round two. That price will definitely be going up in the future, but just to give you a sense, it's large commitment at the beginning, no-brainer commitments from there on. And that's because what we're really designing is a year to 18 months of work on your writing by enrolling in multiple rounds of Navigate. And we want people to recommit every 12 weeks. We don't want you to pay for 18 months and then drop off the face. No, we want to help you through that first round. And then if you want continued support as you continue to develop that writing practice and change it over 12 to 18 months, you can enroll in more rounds with us. And that's how it works. Regardless, you are not changing your writing practice in 12 weeks. There's just no way. You're not changing it forever. It's not going to be sticky. It's not going to stick. So if you don't re-enroll in Navigate for additional rounds, then your job is intentional action around what you learned until it is integrated in your practice and mastered. Okay? So that's the way that I think about how long it takes to change your writing practice. It is not an overnight thing. It is not a 12-week thing. And I will just say also, just to point out the difference, like many of you have done NCFDD's 12-week bootcamp program and then come in to Navigate, which I think is a great way to do it. Totally. Certainly, like our program is more specific for women and non-binary faculty. So the things we talk about in our program are not for everyone. And that's what makes it good. That's what makes it a more up-leveled experience, because it's not a program for everyone. If you're listening and you're a fan of the podcast and you're like, love my book and everything, it's the program for you. But some people will hate this podcast and hate my book. It's not for them. Navigate's not for them. So this is all to say that, compared to NCFDD, what they are tracking is like minutes writing. I think you have I've never taken the program, but my understanding is that there's an app and you're tracking like how many minutes you write. It's very much a write every day, for a certain number of minutes type of goal. Their coaches, it's just a much bigger organization, like a much bigger organization, right? Like they're enrolling hundreds, I don't know if over 1,000 professors in each of their 12 rounds. We're enrolling between 10 and 20 in each round. In 2024, we imagine that we'll work with 60 new clients in Navigate, and then we'll have people kind of re-enrolling in their rounds, but that's it. And we have right now, we just have me and Gina as the two coaches in our organization. Gina runs the round one calls. For now, this is what we're doing. Gina runs the round one calls. I run the subsequent round group calls. So yeah, it takes time. It takes more than just measuring minutes writing. It takes the things that are on our benchmark assessment. It takes an academic mission statement. It takes mapping your pipeline. It takes understanding decision-making, because actually that's the core of the change. I mean, I would say maybe if not the core, then one of the pillars of change around writing and publishing is up-level decision-making, like more discerning decision-making. And that's in Navigate. What we give you is some tools, like what we think is the necessary set of tools to make better decisions around your time so that your writing and publishing will be done and your beautiful, amazing voice will be out in the world. So how long does it take to change your writing practice? 12 to 18 months of intentional action. If you'd like support with that, if you'd like to learn our method for doing it, the Navigate waitlist is waiting for you. It is there for you to get on. Our next round of Navigate, if you're listening in real time, our next round of Navigate starts at the very end of January 2024. So we are building the waitlist right now. You can go to scholarsvoice.org/navigate and think about it. Think about, where are you now with your writing and publishing? Where do you want to be in a year? And does the kind of things I'm talking about, does it sound like the path for you? And if you're not sure, then get on the wait list. During the application process, you will become sure. Like there will be no doubts, because during the application process, you take the benchmark assessment, and everybody who comes in to Navigate, as of now, talks to me in a one-on-one call first. So you have a one-on-one call with me on your way in, and a one-on-one call with me every 12 weeks at the end of each 12-week round. All right. I hope that you have a totally wonderful day, and patience around change. It's not easy to change your writing and publishing. Again, you've been writing for 30 years, 40 years, I don't know, many, many years. It's going to take a while to change, but with intentional action, you absolutely can. Have a great day. Bye. Thank you so much for spending your valuable time supporting yourself and your writing by listening to this episode. If you like what you heard today, the best way to say thank you is to hop on over to Apple iTunes and write an honest review. The more reviews, the more amazing academic women and non-binary people will find this podcast. So go write one now.